John, you mentioned Watson, and yesterday Tony Busby had 2 of the 22 accusers at a press conference where one read a statement and was in front of the camera. Another had someone representing her and a statement that was read. What did you think as you watched the presser yesterday and over the last 24 hours or so, the response?
The one that was read by was one of Tony Busby's partners, an attorney. She read one from one of their clients who said her therapist suggested she do it. But the accuser who was on camera and let her name be known, I watched it. It was powerful. It was emotional. It was disturbing. Today Nike announced that it has suspended its relationship with Watson, could revisit it later. Will Nike be the first of the many endorsements that he has? The NFL is investigating, and the thing is, we may never know the truth. Watson's innocent until proven guilty. His accusers deserve to be heard, whether it's in court or in news conferences, and 22 of them tell a similar story. All those websites are on HoustonChronicle.com and our sports website, TexasSportsNation.com, and I've read every one of those lawsuits, and it blows my mind. And so I don't think there's any way Watson's going to be traded before the draft. I'd be shocked if he's playing next season. I could see him being put on the exempt list where he would be paid, but he would not play while the league tries to sort it out. And it's going to go on a long time. And I don't see any teams trading for him now. You saw what Carolina did to get Sam Darnold. The Panthers had been one of the 6 teams seriously interested in a trade. 49ers were one of the 6. They moved up to 3 to draft a quarterback. There are the Jets and the Dolphins who are interested. They're going to draft quarterbacks. The Bears were another one. The Broncos at 9. And I just had my mock draft that I sent in. I have Justin Fields dropping down to the Broncos at number 9. So of those 6 teams that were interested, I'm guessing the Bears, who have the lowest pick at 20, they're going to be the only one that doesn't get one of those top 5 quarterbacks. But hey, they got Andy Dalton, 1 year and $10 million. Why do you need another quarterback?
So you mentioned the commissioner's exempt list on which guys are paid to basically disappear. Could you see a scenario here where the evolution of guys in trouble takes another step and Houston searches for a way not to pay him to not play while he's under all of this investigation?
The Texans, there's no way they're going to cut him and go after his signing bonus. That sends a terrible message. It sends a powerful message about what they will do under circumstances like this, but it also sends a message about anytime you go after a player's signing bonus. And if the Texans don't do anything, he said he's going to hold out and he's going to sacrifice millions because he wants to be traded. And it would be doing Watson a favor for Goodell to put him on the exempt list when they start getting paid when the season starts, because that way he gets paid for sitting out. If he sits out on his own, doesn't get paid. But I tell you this, this is terrible for the women. It's terrible for Watson. It's terrible for the Texans because they go from hoping to get 3 1s, 2 2s, and a defensive starter, and maybe more with 6 teams bidding for him, to getting nada.
John, what's the next layer to this story that you're waiting on now? I mentioned yesterday we were waiting on the NFL to say something. I know they released a statement through Brian McCarthy as they saying they were monitoring a deeply disturbing situation. What are you watching for now?
I'm watching to see if any other companies suspend their deals with him or drop him. And I already know they're not going to be able to trade him before the draft. I'm not waiting for that. And truthfully, beyond the lawsuits and the penalties from the NFL, which will take forever, although you would think they would prioritize this, the investigative arm of the NFL, because of the severity of it, of how many accusers there are, that they would try to speed it up compared to, say, Antonio Brown, who's still being investigated from 2019. So I don't never thought he would report for an all-season program or training camp, but and maybe it's not going to make him want to come back to the Texans anymore, but maybe financially he may have to.
Well, and John, that's what I want to get to. It was one big story when Deshaun Watson was demanding a trade from the football side of this. And I want to ask you about the football side of this organizationally, not just with Deshaun Watson, but now with the Texans organization. They're stuck in limbo. They got a guy who's more than likely going to be suspended. We don't know how long, but that's probably going to happen. You've got a draft coming up. What does this do football-wise to the organization with the quarterback who's your star player wanting to be traded, but now all these legal problems going on? What are the Texans left to do? Does this change a draft strategy for them? How do you see this playing out with the football side of things for the Texans?
Well, when you don't have a first or second round pick, Chad, like, it's not going to affect much of your draft. You know, we wondered, okay, what if the 67th pick that Nick Caserio, the GM, who just made his 34th, brought in his 34th player with a tight end yesterday and has made more than 40 transactions, closing in on 45, counting players he's gotten rid of or has not re-signed, that would he take a quarterback with all the needs they have? In my second mock draft, I have him taking a cornerback. At some point, I'll have him taking defensive linemen. Those two are bigger priorities than anything. But what if there's a quarterback like, say, Kellen Mond or Davis Mills or Kyle Trask, who he has a second-round grade on, a high second-round grade, and he drops into the third round? Would they take him with all those other needs? They signed Tyrod Taylor. They traded for Ryan Finley from Cincinnati. Those are their two quarterbacks right now. Watson's still on the roster. Watson was not going to report. Watson was not going to play. So when it comes to having him around, if he lived up to what he told them, they were going to be without him anyway. So whatever moves they make, they got to do it. They're not going to get a franchise quarterback there. There's been a lot of quarterbacks drafted in the third round down, like Joe Montana and Tom Brady and Johnny Unitas and Russell Wilson. And those guys, it can happen. And maybe they'll get somebody there, but right now I think they're competing for the top pick in next year's draft. And they better hope that a Zach Wilson or Joe Burrow emerges next season that nobody was predicting before the previous draft.
John McClain with us in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his great coverage of the league, and also you can read his work at Cron.com.